ask about both sides. Deanna, thank you. I want to broaden this out, just bring in Elizabeth Cohen, our senior medical correspondent, because you've been looking into these different medical trials, these clinical trials, because we know for every week the government shutdown continues. There are, about 10 kids who have cancer who wait for this medical trial to begin. What are these trials?
So a lot of people don't know this, but there's sort of a mini hospital within the NIH, and the people who come there to be part of a clinical trial.
Okay.
And they are some of the sickest of the sickest. I mean, these are people who, for the most part, have tried everything else, and their doctor said, you know what? This is a huge problem, and you need to go to the NIH for a clinical trial.
And they want to give it a shot.
And they want to give it a shot, because for many of them, they have no other choice. And so they go to this hospital at the NIH, and now they're being told, we can't enroll you. So 200 people, including 10 children with cancer, are being told, because of the shutdown, we can't enroll you in the clinical trial that we thought we could enroll you in.
So not only then is this shutdown an issue for that finite amount of kids, it's also an issue for the research that's being done.
It certainly is. I mean, for example, AZT, the incredible HIV drug that was a game changer and saved so many lives, that came out of the NIH Clinical Center. Or chemotherapy, many decades ago, was developed at the NIH Clinical Center. And so, they do incredible work there. They make incredible discoveries. But when you slow down their research and don't let them enroll new patients, there's a limit to what they can do.
Just another example of how this shutdown is affecting people far and wide. Elizabeth Cohen, thank you. I want to pull away from you and head back to Capitol Hill. We just heard from Harry Reid on the Democratic side here of the Senate, and here is House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi.
Soon, and Americans can move on with their lives. Americans can move on. We're asking the Republicans in the House of Representatives to take yes for an answer. We believe that if they put their own bill with their own number on the floor, that it will pass, and we will help them pass that legislation. This is a specific proposal that we are making to them, and we are making it in the form of a letter to the Speaker. With that, I yield to the distinguished Democratic whip, Mr. Boyer.
Thank you, Leader.
House Whip Cindy Boyer speaking now here, and we're going to pay. We're hearing from Republicans today from the Hill saying their piece. We're hearing from Democrats saying their piece, and once again, the congressional leadership on both sides of the political aisle will be meeting with the president in just about 2.5 hours from now at the White House. And this partial shutdown of the federal government, I know it has a lot of you wondering about one of the certainties of life, taxes. Jay Leno summed it up pretty well last night.
Now, here's the part I don't get, okay? The government is shut down, services are cut. So 33% of it, how come we're still paying 100% of our taxes? Should we get 33%
And author Bob Green agrees with Jay Leno. I read your op-ed, Mr. Green, on CNN.com, and you go through this whole explanation. You liken this to kind of like buying an airplane ticket, right? So if you pay this ticket to fly, you're halfway through the trip, and the airline cancels the rest of your trip. You stay, the passenger should get a refund. Ergo, we, the taxpayer, should get a refund as well, right?
Well, or if you join a health club for a year and you pay the fee, and then they tell you they have to go under renovations for 3 months, you get 25% back. You subscribe to a magazine for a year, and it's supposed to be 52 issues, and they say, well, we're only going to publish 26 this year. Of course they send you a refund. In a rational world, that's how it works. You would think that, first of all, it doesn't matter which side you are on this argument, whether you're Republican, Democrat, conservative, or liberal. The fact is, none of these politicians in the White House or the Congress were forced to have these jobs. They wanted them, they ran for them, they won. The Congress has one, and the White House, the government has one duty, which is to open the doors to the government every day. And it's not a case of whether you like a particular law or like a particular politician. You have to run the government. That's the one thing they have to do. And you would think if it was a business, you start sending those refund checks.
When you talk about us living in this rational world, Bob, on the flip side, you point this out in your own article, and I know some people are thinking this is what you write. Congress and the White House might hear this request and say, that's preposterous. The government is hurting for funds. It needs the money. Do they have a point?
Well, that's true. The government is hurting for funds, and they need the money. But the people who are paying for this, the tax many of them are really hurting for funds, and many of them really need the money. And it just, look, I know we're not going to be checking our mailboxes tomorrow morning to see if their income check is there. No, I'm not. But it would make sense if the people who have shut the government down, whatever side you think's at fault, would think about this. Because if they were running a business where they were accountable to their customers, they would have to give this money back because they're not providing what the customers, the taxpayers, pay for.
You know, Bob, I have this couple in the back of my head. I talked to this couple just yesterday, and they're having to quickly come up with this plan B for their wedding because were planning on getting married at the Grand Canyon, and then parks are closed, so that's not happening. But he said to me, listen, if I don't do my job, I don't get paid, right? So it makes sense that he's saying Congress shouldn't either. But when you look at the approval ratings for Congress, Bob, it's 10%. Do you think they just don't care? What we think?
I don't know that they don't care. I think they've all painted themselves into a corner now. But what you just said, Brooke, is because the column obviously is sort of whimsical. We're not going to show you things. But what you just said is important because there are people whose lives are just being torn asunder in huge ways or in small ways. All because, not because there's some law they don't like or the president or the senator they don't like, because the government they paid for is stopped. And someone has got to say, what about the customers? The customers, or the employers, us, the taxpayers. Somebody has got to say they're the ones that really matter here. We can work the other stuff out later.
I won't be checking my mail tomorrow either, but a lot of people agree with you, Bob Green. A lot of people. Thank you so much. If you want to read Bob's article, CNN.com/opinion. And coming up, we will take you to Washington, to the World War II Memorial, where dozens of veterans showed up today, hoping to get in. We will show you what happened and show you some of those protest signs as you see there. Plus, the Obama administration needs young people to sign up for Obamacare, so some celebrities are helping out.
No problem, Susan.
It's my mistress. She's pregnant.
Finally, I asked you.
Dr. Sandra Gupta joins me live with whether today's sign-up is still a bit messy. Also, new twist in the biker gang attack on this family's car. Find out why one of the suspects has now been released, and we will talk to someone who knows this gang very well.